Hey guys, welcome back to Rewind Stop Fast Forward. I'm Jordan.
I'm Jared.
And I'm Nick.
Next week, because we're going to be talking about Astra, we thought we'd just kind of take the chance to talk about our favorite sci-fi films. So we decided we wanted to do sort of our top 5 favorite sci-fi films, and just go through each one and talk about them really briefly. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the video. All right, we're just going to jump straight into this discussion.
Trying to do that again. As you started talking, I went, ooh.
Yeah.
We're all just losing our minds a little bit here. Okay. All right, we're just going to jump into the discussion. Start off with, who wants to start us off there? Number 5. Jerry, you look like...
All right, I'll start off. So I don't know about you guys, but for me, this isn't like 1 to 5 or 5 to 1. This is just kind of 5 of. Okay. Because I don't really want to rank these films because I love them so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I'll start off with an easy one. Edge of Tomorrow. Okay. With Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
Such a fun...
Otherwise known as Live, Die, Repeat, I think.
Is that
in
what
the States.
Is it really? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I didn't realize it had a different name. Oh, okay. Yeah, what a fun film that is.
It's a good movie, yeah.
It was actually so unexpected. I think we saw it.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
And like I thought I was literally just walking into like what was going to be a super generic sci-fi film, and it ended up being far more entertaining, far more like interesting than I thought. Like I didn't even know that.
Still kind of like your quintessential action film, but like the sci-fi like shtick is really, really well done.
Yeah.
And I think it does make for like a really cool movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
Yeah. That's it. That's
that's
my first one. Yeah, no, that's all I wanted to say. No, it was a fun film. Like, I don't think there's much more to it than that. Like, it was a good sci-fi film, and
I actually really like as well. Kind of for a good majority of the film, Tom Cruise actually plays against type in it because obviously he's used to being just like the, typical hero kind of action lead, but in this he plays kind of like a wimpy general or something like that. I think
until he knows that he literally can't.
Yeah, until that occurs. But like he becomes badass by the end of the film. But like at the beginning of it, it's hilarious watching him play against type.
That's true. Actually,
and Emily Blunt is also really badass in the film.
Yeah,
very true. Yeah. Very true.
Yeah.
All right.
Jump into mine.
Sure.
Next one?
Yeah,
sure. All right, go around. Yeah, is it on? I always feel bad. I feel bad about putting this because I know a lot of people would probably disagree with me on this, but I'm putting as my number 5, Avatar. James
Cameron's Avatar.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
I know a lot of people definitely see it as a film that is visually impressive but lacks pretty much everywhere else, and I think that kind of.
I mean, I really, really enjoy Avatar, and people say that it's a knockoff of Pocahontas or
Dances with Wolves,
or whatever, but like, so what?
that's
it's still telling the story in a relatively interesting way.
Yeah, but that's James Cameron. I feel like a lot of his films are always, visually and like technologically pushing the boundaries, but they're always, in terms of the narratives, they're always pretty straightforward. But he knows how to just make those stock standard kind of elements of a film work really well.
It's got a pretty good, like, if you're a fan of like world building,
that's
very immersive world,
and that's my kind of thing with it, because like, I mean, we all go to the movies really for escapism reasons, like, and to get lost in another world, and I think that Avatar is one of those films that I love because for 2 hours, 2.5 hours, I think it's a longish film, but you can get so lost in Pandora as a world, and like it's so visually well realized. Because I mean, like even today, like when you look at it, man, there are certain shots obviously which look very CGI, but the whole world is CGI created, like for every blade of grass, even. Like, they didn't like actually really shoot any of it on location. So.
And the technology, I remember seeing like a little bit of footage behind the scenes, and it was like rendering a visual in camera in real time. Yeah, it's motion
capture.
Yeah, but like it was rendering like the environment in real time, which straight up, I don't even know how the hell that's possible. Because like, you know what it's like to render these videos out. Like it takes hours and hours to get like a proper exported image. So the technology that James Cameron put together was kind of really impressive.
That's why his films are always considered like an event, because
you know, obviously like one of the highest grossing films of all time.
I think that does overshadow, because like a lot of people will look at it in that regard and they're like, oh yeah, it's just this really like high grossing film, but it's not even that good. You know,
but when it came out in 3D, I remember like the 3D being really, really well done.
It's at this point probably one or the best use of 3D, like, because it actually utilized 3D as an effect, whereas most films use it as a gimmick, which is unfortunate, because when you use it in the right circumstance, it's actually pretty incredible, like the way you can visually enhance the story. But yeah, I as I said, and like the music as well by James Horner is, I think it is great.
I definitely wouldn't be putting it that high on any sci-fi list,
but like as a personal, what's a favorite sci-fi film? Like, that's where I'm coming at it from. Because if I was to rank it as like in terms of, is it a good sci-fi film? I would be like,
who's the lead in that? Is it Sam something?
Sam Worthington. Aussie guy, actually.
He's I feel like he maybe is not really super solid in it. Like, I remember
I still did, because I remember, I think we've had this argument before, because I know you're not a fan of him as an actor, and like to a certain degree I can see that, but I think he's really solid in this film, and I think he does a good job.
I just remember, like, there's a lot of voiceover from him, isn't there? And I just feel like it was a bit like flat, and it did kind of pull me out a little bit. But I do really like the movie, so
I am honestly sorry, because I know a lot of people like, it's kind of a running joke at this point that Avatar is obviously becoming a franchise. But I, for one, am someone who's actually in support and like really keen to see what James Cameron does, because
I'm very excited to see.
I've heard that he is going to do a lot of like underwater stuff, which
he loves underwater stuff.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what I'm saying. Like, when you take Avatar, take future technology, I'm sure he's making new technology for his film. And it's set underwater. Like, I'm sure it's gonna be a visual treat.
No, basically. I'm keen. Like, generally speaking, I'm keen.
Yeah.
He has left it a really long time. Like,
I know. Yeah. We'll see how it does when it comes
out. So my number 5 film is just like, it's The Matrix. Obviously it's kind of, and first and foremost, an action film that has elements of sci-fi. Once again, kind of like Edge of Tomorrow, where like the action is the prevailing kind of appeal of the film, and then the sci-fi backdrop just creates a world where like you can get that little bit of escapism from. And I feel like the world of The Matrix is really well done, because it provides our world as like the virtual reality that, you know, that in the future machines use to like keep us kind of subdued while they harvest our energy to keep themselves powered and alive, which is a pretty interesting like premise for a sci-fi film. And then, you know, there's like it's actually almost like sci-fi fantasy, like the way that it's like prophetic, and like there's like the one human who can
have you seen the sequels?
Yes.
They get further and further into that.
I'm talking very specifically about the first Matrix as a standalone film.
See, I am a fan of all 3 of the Matrix.
Okay, well, there you go.
I actually enjoy to a degree the 3 films as well. Like, they have their moments.
I think it's a pretty good trilogy. So I have to agree with you.
Keen for the 4th one, Jeremy?
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
That conceptualization of like the real world as well, like showing like kind of an apocalyptic scenario where we're living underground in hiding, and I think kind of just like presenting like a way in which like you can, in our world, defy all expectations and beliefs, and you can defy gravity, and you can you know,
I think they did a really good job actually in terms of looking at that kind of real world versus the like actual real world, like the future. I think they did a really good job making our world feel cold and distant, so it actually feels like it is, you know, not the real world. You know what I mean? Like, they do enough in terms of like.
Yeah, I guess I get what you mean.
I'm not sure if you guys know or not, but like, you might have noticed this while watching the actual film. But all 3 films, like when they're in the Matrix, it is completely like really, really just like they deliberately use dark colors. And it's like got a bit of a like greeny tone to it. Absolutely. And there's only one scene where they're in the Matrix where they've actually got colorful, and it's right at the end of the 3rd film.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So they deliberately make it, because I remember when I first watched through the Matrix, I was like, oh man, this film is like not really easy on the eyes at all, you know, when you're in the Matrix. But yeah, deliberate design choice.
Well, there you go.
So, obviously they are, the first one is unique for creating that kind of stylized action.
Yeah, definitely. Plus, like, you know, cultural phenomenon in a sense. Like, but once again, like, I'm aware that it's not bringing a whole lot in terms of like moral and ethical dilemmas like a sci-fi film usually does to the table. It's an action film that has heavy sci-fi themes. Yeah. Kind of streaked through it. But, you know, I can literally sit down and watch that movie whenever and just like love the hell out of it. So, yeah.
That's a good film.
Yeah, sure. I'm the same. I could definitely watch it all the time as well.
All right. Okay, so my next film is District 9.
Nice. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I absolutely love what's the director's name again? I forgot.
Neil Blomkamp.
Yeah, Neil Blomkamp. I absolutely love. I don't know if you've seen some of his short films on YouTube before, but he's got a couple of short films up there. Man, District 9 is such a good film.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. It is, I remember seeing it in the cinema and, just like, it is...
Yeah, it's got a very... Like, I think it does what a sci-fi film should do in that it makes you question something about the world we live in. And obviously, District 9 is a very heavy-handed kind of euphemism for, like, the race war in our world currently.
Yeah, exactly.
So...
Yeah.
I love the fact that that's further enhanced by its like documentary style, the way it's made.
Definitely. Yeah. And it's super interesting to see aliens that aren't like overpowered and here to destroy us as well. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
they were literally like, because I think the main ones that they focus on, it's just like kind of a, whether it's like a father and a son type of thing, isn't it? Like
I think so.
Yeah. But they're always like scared for their lives, pretty much.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because like I think a lot of sci-fi films talk about, you know, what happens when aliens invade. What are we going to do as a human race?
Yeah.
But District 9 kind of flips it, and it's like, well, what if the aliens that come aren't stronger than us?
Yeah.
Are we as humans sophisticated enough to be able to live harmoniously?
Yeah.
This movie suggests probably not. We're pretty big pieces of shit.
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's man, it's such a brutal film.
Yeah,
like,
it's fucked.
I really like District 9.
Good old Sharlto Copley as well.
Yeah,
I think he ended up working with Neil Blomkamp a few times.
What else has he done?
He
did Chappie?
Yeah, he was Chappie. He was the voice of Chappie.
Yeah. And he also did Elysium, which
he played, I think, Kruger.
So he's a big fan of sci-fi films in general then, obviously.
Yeah, well, all Neil Blomkamp's shorts are sci-fi.
Yeah, they are. Quick note. Elysium, I actually really, really liked it. I know that a lot of people like bombed it and said that it was crap because it kind of... I think he changed the ending towards like... I think it was halfway through filming. He changed the ending to give it sort of like a more generic, like Hollywood happy ending. Because I remember him saying that he was going to put like a really brutal ending at the end of Elysium instead of like a realistic, like what Hollywood wanted, you know?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because like obviously Hollywood has a lot more pull over directors than maybe we think. Because I remember like it was only a couple of years ago, Annihilation got dropped by a studio because the director wouldn't change the ending to be more Hollywood, and it had to be picked up and released on Netflix. So maybe he didn't have as much of a choice in it as, you know.
Yeah. I remember him coming out after the film came out. He said in interviews that he wishes he didn't do that, and he kind of screwed the ending of Elysium up. So
interesting.
Yeah. Just a little side note. I
don't think
Elysium.
I've seen Elysium.
Did they ever have like deleted scene, or did they ever have
I don't think so.
Footage of
Obviously, they didn't film it.
Because sometimes they do. The studio does put out like a director's cut, which gives them their like due, like the vision that the director wants.
Yeah. But one thing I really love about District 9 is, as you said before, Nick, like it kind of looks at the way. Like if aliens were needing our help, or like sort of like flips that table upside down, but at the same time that the aliens or like the prawns have the technology that's better than ours already, you know, like the big mech suits and the weapons are clearly like way superior to ours. It's just the fact that are they sick or something? I can't remember what the storyline is with the prawns and how they were they sick or were they being attacked by another. I can't remember what it was. They just kind of rocked up there and just wanted help.
They needed help.
But even though they had the technology there to fight and
we can't even solve our own problems here, so
exactly.
Look, it was always going to be a pretty depressing picture that was painted, I think. But I think rightly so. I think it's a genuine observation to make about us as people, and that's where I think like sci-fi really excels, doing that kind of stuff.
For sure. All right, so my next one,
John's got a big list.
Yeah.
I can reel off some of my honorable mentions at the end if you guys want. But my next one I really struggle with because I wanted to put them together, but like I couldn't.
Yeah, you got to pick just one.
I know. I didn't want to. But it was between Blade Runner and Blade Runner 2049.
Yeah, see, I got Blade Runner 2049 on my list.
I actually picked 2049 as well.
Yeah, I actually think the 2049 is better than the original.
Interesting, yeah. Oh, God, they're both so bloody good in their own ways. And like, because obviously like the world that Blade Runner started just was so unique, like that like cyberpunk world.
Yeah.
And then like 2049 took it and just took it even further, and it just the way it told its story. And I think it was a lot more of a kind of a human story, a little bit more so than what the original was. And I think I just kind of connected to it a little bit more for that reason. Yeah. But I because I remember I saw it in the cinema twice because I loved it that much, and it was a long film.
Yeah.
And I remember when I heard about it to start with, like when they announced the project, it's like when a sequel gets announced for something like Blade Runner, usually kind of is like, oh God, they're not doing it again. Like it's just Hollywood at it again, trying to make more money. But when they started to announce it was Denis Villeneuve involved, Harrison Ford was coming back, they had Ryan Gosling, I was like, okay, I'm really interested.
Yeah.
And it bloody pays off.
Well, I'm not sure, like, objectively, you know, even going back to before the film was made, how profitable a trademark Blade Runner was. You know,
and that's the thing, like, at the time, obviously, Blade Runner didn't do well, and Blade Runner 2049 didn't do well either.
Yeah.
And that, like, it makes sense to me, because it is a very niche sci-fi film, because it's like...
But it's a direct sequel that's, like...
Yeah.
20 years after the original, 30 years after the original.
But you could tell when you look at the trailers for Blade Runner 2049, they were like marketing it being like it's for the people who love the original. Yeah, exactly. Like they didn't care about, like, they weren't trying to get just general audiences into the theaters. And that's one thing that like why it fails, but why it's so good at the same time, I think, is because they were like knew how to make it properly rather than trying to pander to the general audiences or dumb it down like...
Yeah.
And that's one thing I love about Denis Villeneuve. Like, he really takes the kind of idea of Blade Runner and just adds it further.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I have to say, one of the things I was most impressed about Blade Runner 2049 was the soundtrack and how good the soundtrack was.
Hans Zimmer is a fucking genius.
Yeah. Like, I remember after I saw the film, I just went and sat on my computer and just listened to the soundtrack for like an hour or two. And holy shit, man. Like, I don't know how that guy comes up with the sound, but
he
like,
really,
compared
like,
to the original film, it just fits so well. Like
the original film is still potentially got a better score than the 2049, but like Hans Zimmer really took certain themes and then kind of re-twigged it just a little bit and reused certain themes here and there. But did his own spin on it. It was very a Hans Zimmer score. Yeah. But I really like that as well. Harrison Ford as well was absolutely incredible coming back because he has, and like that's one thing as well I appreciate Denis Villeneuve. He knew how to utilize Deckard in the story. He didn't just like overuse him. He used him to the right effect.
I remember, like, because I don't remember much about the specifics of the story because I've only seen it the once, but I remember like this one scene that I remember. It's very vivid in my mind, and it's the scene with the projection over like the prostitute and just kind of what it says about like the need for companionship, because it's a very lonely world. Like, it's very dark and there's not a lot of like...
as I said about the human element that I like to the story. It's like Kay's a character really like, as he's a replicant, but he's someone who is trying his best to act like he's an actual human being. And there's so many things he's doing to like his kind of house routine. I don't know if you remember at the start of the film when he kind of walks in, he's Honey, I'm Home type of thing. And it's like she's projected as like a, housewife from, I don't know what decade it was or whatever.
Yeah.
Putting the food on the table, things like that. That it's just like such a kind of, you kind of connect to it a little bit more, I think, than the original Blade Runner.
Yeah, definitely. I think like...
And as you said, that visual, like just visually watching that, was the most trippy but like most interesting thing.
That's just something that I very distinctly remember, and thinking that like not only was the effect really cool, but that, like it says a lot about what this world is like, especially in terms of like companionship.
Yeah.
And the warmth and welcoming nature of the world, or lack thereof, I guess.
Yeah, for sure. Also, like, obviously, visually, it's almost flawless film, like, in terms of the blending between... Because they did a lot of practical sets, like the original, but they also obviously had kind of CGI elements to it. But, yeah, it's a really good blending of the two. And makes me very keen to see Denis Villeneuve's next project even more, which is Dune.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
See him tackle that, because
okay.
After Blade Runner 2049, I have... all the faith in the world.
Yeah.
In
Dune's
Absolutely.
an interesting property though. Like it's a lot more out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I'm keen.
My number 4 was it's a film called Predestination. I know.
Right, I haven't seen it.
It's it stars Ethan Hawke. It's from 2014, and it's, I guess, inherently a time travel movie.
Okay.
But like, it's interesting because the time travel aspect of it is really, kind of like situated on one series of events. So it's not like Back to the Future where you time travel over like the course of 30 years and like you end up kind of seeing the advancements, but then the past, and like kind of combining the two. The time travel is really just there to tell a very, very well thought out and cohesive story.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's the reason why I like it so much, because for a time travel film, usually there's a lot of plot holes, or like it's the whole like butterfly effect where, you know, if you do something wrong in the past, it's going to affect the future. But like this movie is so well planned out and it caters for all of those kind of questions. And that's why when it's so like situated on one event, they're able to like think through everything so that it does work out. And once you finish the film, you're like, oh, could that have like it all kind of falls into place. So I think like in terms of time travel films, it's by far the one that I've seen that I'm like, this is the most like accurate depiction of what time travel would be like, or you know, what you have to do to cover your ass if you are time traveling, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
And obviously Ethan Hawke gives a really good performance. It was filmed in Melbourne as well.
Oh, really?
Oh, okay.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it's an American director, but yeah.
Okay.
I think it was shot in Australia.
Yeah.
And yeah, not super well known.
Yeah. I was just going to ask, how do they handle sort of the budget? Because I presume it's not a particularly high budget.
No, it's not.
So how do they handle kind of that and working with like... Because if it's a bit of sci-fi, you know...
Yeah,
does
so...
that restrain them, or do they really work well within that kind of confines?
It's set present day-ish.
Yeah.
So you don't really need to go all out on the budget for sets or anything like that.
Yeah.
The time travel, you're traveling within a realm of 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's not even an issue. And the events that take place are so specific in location. Like I reckon the film total has like 6 locations.
Okay.
Like it's very, very confined storytelling.
Yeah.
But I think that's where it thrives, because when you're like, all right, we've got 6 locations, we only need to deal with 6 kind of series of events. How can we get this to work absolutely perfectly?
Yeah.
And it just means that like the time travel is so specifically used, but also like, you know, like covers its ass.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
It sounds really good. I'm keen to actually watch it.
It is a great movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know you've been telling me to
Highly
watch it.
underrated. I don't know why it hasn't like... Because like it's sitting review-wise, like critically, very high.
Yeah.
But it just like obviously didn't have a big release or anything like
Yeah.
that. So.
That's what happens. Low budget.
Yeah.
Probably doesn't get marketed particularly
But it has
heavily.
Ethan Hawke in it. Like he's the star and he's a big name. Like...
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Sometimes films can just fly under the radar like
That's
that.
true.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really good movie.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm definitely keen to actually watch that. It sounds really good. I love time travel films. So
Yeah,
for sure.
I'll definitely give it a watch, Jared.
Yeah. So my next film, I was going to leave this to my last one, but I thought while you were talking about Denis Villeneuve, Arrival.
Oh yeah, nice.
Oh my god, that is easily probably top 5 of my favorite films.
I was actually hoping you would mention it because it was on my next tier of movies, and I was like, I think Jared's going to pick it, so it means I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. So wow, Arrival, what a film! Have you seen it, Nick?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my god, man, that is just such a film that it just absolutely blew my mind the first time I watched it.
Yeah.
And I went and saw it I think I saw it in the open air cinema.
Oh, really?
Up in Melbourne. Yeah. Okay. And that was the first time I watched it. And I remember not watching it for a couple of years and forgetting the storyline and watching it again.
Yeah.
And just reliving that amazement of figuring the plot out towards the end of the film. And it was
it would benefit from a second or third viewing for
absolutely.
sure.
So I just love the way Denis Villeneuve has just crafted this film, because there is just so many different... It's a film that I don't really want to give too much away, but it's not a linear start finish sort of timeline.
Yeah.
And you don't know that, and you think it is, and then right at the end is when everything gets explained, and you're just like, wow.
Yeah.
It's I don't think I've ever watched a film that I've had that much of a reaction like that. I think very rarely do I ever have a reaction.
Well, very rarely do movies like that come along. We're very used to super generic, just bullshit.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just one of those films that just doesn't treat the audience like an idiot and lets you sort of figure it out yourself. But at the same time, it's, oh man, Denis Villeneuve is just one of my favorite directors.
Yeah.
And, I'm honestly speechless as to what to say about this film.
I'll tell you what,
except go watch it if you haven't seen it. It is, easily up there with my top 5. I'd have to say easily top 3 of my favorite all-time films.
Okay, nice.
So,
I remember when I went to watch it, I knew, I think I was expecting to get, sort of a really interesting science fiction film. And you get that plus... And what I didn't expect, and it was from the opening frame of the film. As soon as it opens, the emotional kind of core to the film, I was not actually expecting that. Yeah, absolutely knocked me to the floor as well. That's because it surprised the shit out of me. But I think it was that year that because Amy Adams has been nominated for so many Oscars, right? And for that film specifically, I don't think she was nominated, that just blew my mind, because I was
me too.
To me, that's one of my favorite performances of her. And she didn't get nominated. I was like, what? That is bizarre.
I think the fact that you're building a film off of such a fundamental question that people actually ponder today, and that is how do you communicate with someone or something that doesn't use the same mode of communication as us. I remember 30 years ago, whatever, we sent a gold-plated vinyl recording into space to try and the sounds of Earth type of thing. It's the same kind of question. What do you put on to summarize what we are as a species?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think Denis Villeneuve imbues the film with that kind of emotional connection, because he's it's empathy. You need to be able to make those emotional connections. That's what makes us human. And that's what's going to help us, in the future. So
kind of going on that, but one thing I appreciate about the film as well is, especially when you look at a lot of sci-fi films that do with aliens, I mean, it's your typical kind of aliens are bad guys, humans are the good guys type of conflict, but here it's actually an exploration of kind of that contact. I don't know if you've ever seen Steven Spielberg's Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
I've seen bits and pieces.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
You've seen it? Yeah. And that's pretty much the same thing, where it's not actually about, that good and evil. It's just about the contact side of things. Trying to communicate, and because that's a really good film as well.
Obviously, there's a theme running through our films here that it's not always about aliens rock up and
just
we fight each other.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It is interesting to look at it
I just want to, one other thing I would like to or two things I'd like to mention is the soundtrack in Arrival is also absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
That, I think it's like the opening and ending scene, that
Max
song.
Richter's Nature of Daylight.
Yeah, oh my God. Dude, I listen to that and I get goosebumps and almost cry listening to that music. It is amazing.
Yeah.
And the other thing I wanted to mention as well is Jeremy Renner. I know a lot of people know him as Hawkeye from the MCU, but man, he has done some pretty decent films. Apart from I don't know if you guys have seen Wind River before.
I haven't.
But I remember seeing a really good film that he's in as well.
Yeah, Hurt Locker. I remember watching. Yeah, that was the first movie I ever saw with him in it, and I was like, "This is a pretty impressive actor here." Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, he. I think he gave a pretty decent performance in Arrival as well. So
yeah, for sure.
Nice. That's a good pick. Yeah,
I was waiting for it.
Yeah. I thought I was going to leave it to the end, but then you mentioned Blade Runner 2049, so I was like, all right, we may as well go with another Denis Villeneuve film. So
nice. All right, so for my next one, I've got an animated film.
Okay.
WALL-E.
Oh man, you stole another one of mine. That was another one that I had. Yeah.
I can actually pick.
No. Let's do it. No.
That's fine.
That's good. That's fine.
It's good to have an overlap, I think.
All right.
Because WALL-E was going to be on my list until, I figured it would be on someone else's, and it is. Yeah. Go ahead, Jordan Taylor.
I don't even know where to start because, this film, just when I look at it in terms of how it's crafted, it's absolutely brilliant what they managed to put together. Because it's a film that, for majority of it, at least for the first half, there's no dialogue, right?
Yeah.
So they tell the story visually only, just through visual imagery, and it's got to be captivating enough for kids to watch.
Yeah.
And because they got to fall in love with WALL-E as a character and the world and what they're telling, the story, but it's also then got to be they make it so it's also very much for adults, and so tackles themes and it's a mature story at the same time. Yeah. And when you consider all those elements put together in one film, it just amazes me that how well they do it, to be honest. That's what it just
very, very big risk for Pixar, I think, probably going into making and releasing that film, but one that I think definitely, maybe, I don't know how commercially successful the film was, but
I'm not sure.
I think it's going to be one that they're remembered for being real trendsetters and innovators in the genre for the next 50 years. Yeah. It's remarkable.
Yeah.
That whole, hey guys, if we don't start treating the planet a little bit nicer, you're going to fuck it.
Yeah.
But in a way that kids can relate to.
Yeah, exactly.
And also hey, if you keep being so heavily reliant on technology, you're gonna ruin, what we are as humans.
Thing. Yeah. I remember I saw this film when it first came out when I was a child.
Yeah.
And obviously I loved it because it was robots and space and all that type of stuff. And I didn't really understand, obviously, the sort of deeper meaning. And I remember rewatching it when I was a lot older, just thinking about how fucking depressing, the world is at that time, right? Obviously at the end that it gets fixed and everything, but
it's never hopeless, which I think is important.
Exactly. But even with there are countless times throughout the film that hope is almost completely annihilated. And it is, man, it's such a sad, depressing look at what could be the future. Obviously, not for a very, very, very long time. And there are elements in the film that aren't realistic at all. But at the same time, it's a massive, just a bit of an eye-opener and just a little bit of a depressing sort of outlook on what can happen with
definitely.
Mass consumption of our planet and that type of stuff. Yeah.
I just love the, when we get to the spaceship where all the human beings are and we finally get to see your kind of first look at human beings, what we've become. AKA fat blobs. It's again it's kind of, it has that kind of line where it's both entertaining and funny to watch, but it's also like serious in the way it tackles it. You know what I mean? Like when you look at it, you're like, that's really messed up if that's what happens to us. Like,
and like that, I know you guys have been talking about soundtracks for a lot of these films, but WALL-E is one that I have listened to in my free time.
Well, they took I remember there's actually a really good scene, and I'm not sure it's from a musical. There's a particular song that they use.
Yeah.
Is that like that kind of very tapestry type of one? I don't know if you don't know. Yeah. That's really good. But yeah, as you said, I really like the soundtrack for the film.
I think like Peter Gabriel's Down to Earth is the closing credits, which is just like perfect. And then there's that song. It's called Define Dancing, and it's literally while WALL-E's floating through space, and he like kind of does that. It's that scene where he like touches a Milky Way. Yeah. Really, really like beautiful moment in cinema. Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. No, I agree. Very good film.
Very good film. Yeah. My next film is 2013's Her by Spike Jonze.
Right.
Nice.
I've been meaning to watch that. I haven't got around to it yet.
It's not so much like it. It's
like
it soft sci-fi.
I was gonna say it's very like it's actually a really fascinating film when you look at the production design, like especially what they do, because it's like weirdly, as you said, there's just so many the small elements they do just to make it feel a little bit futuristic.
It's close enough that like I would say like probably maximum a decade in the future.
Yeah.
You know, like it's like a little bit like Art Deco-y, very pastel world.
Yeah.
But like I feel like that's almost like representative of kind of the numbness that people feel at the moment, because it's literally like a world where interaction between people is like lower than it has ever been before, and everyone is just like super reliant on their phones, and it's come to a point where you don't need to like check your phone, you just literally talk to your phone and your phone talks back. And it's about this, it's called Her because it's about this AI that is released for the computer. It's like an all integrated computer and phone operating system that is such a sophisticated AI that like it's almost like talking to a person constantly. Voiced by Scarlett Johansson. Phenomenally well. And lead performance is Joaquin Phoenix, who does such an amazing job. And it's literally just a commentary on, once again, about how we connect with our devices and how we connect with each other. And where the dangers lie in the future.
I think especially with Joaquin Phoenix's character, just kind of that sense of loneliness. And
it's
like
a world that's completely
isolation,
disconnected, essentially. And so he ends up forming a relationship with his phone, like the AI in his phone, just as a form of connection. But it's in a world where more and more people are doing that because they're not finding that connection that they need in a physical space.
Okay.
So, and it's all weird questions about, you know, like the sentiency of artificial intelligence and whether their emotions are valid or, you know, mass produced and kind of, you know, not actually real. It's a very interesting look at where we are heading. Potentially.
I think out of all the films we've mentioned thus far, I actually think Her is probably the closest to currently, like, our reality, like, the closest.
I think that, because I studied at uni as well, like, obviously the kind of education sector look at that film as a very, very realistic possibility, even if it's a little bit more heightened than what we experience currently. I think they're like, you know, this is definitely...
But give it time.
A genuine concern that we could have. But, like, and the question asked by the film is it a legitimate concern? Like, you know, if someone's getting their emotional support from their technology but not from real people, at the end of the day, is that a terrible thing? Like, it does force you to ask those kinds of questions.
That's true.
You know? Yeah.
It's definitely a film that will stay relevant for a long time.
Definitely. Yeah,
for sure. So that's all my 5 gone, but I do have a couple of other ones. Off the top of my head, and this one's kind of really, really borderline sci-fi. But Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Yeah.
With Jim Carrey.
Yeah. That's my number 2 film.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Fuck. What a sad film.
Another soft sci-fi.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say it's not a sad film.
Yeah.
To me.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's just a film that really is an exploration of relationships, basically, a relationship in this case. But
and what it means to be human as well.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you know, if you had the ability to erase memory, would you? And would you lose a part of what it is to be human by doing that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's the only element of sci-fi in this movie. But
Yeah, is the removal.
Yeah.
But then again, the majority of the film takes place in Jim Carrey's head, like his mind.
Yeah.
So,
I guess that's true, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of
Hiding
science
in his-
fiction-y,
yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And it's like going through, like, looking obviously at all those, again, when you're exploring that sort of sense of relationship, like that, you know, even if everything is bad, there's always those good moments, and him trying to hold on to those moments.
Yeah.
It's such a heavy film, especially for someone that has, you know, like gone through a breakup before or something like that. You know, just the whole elements. Like anyone who's ever been in a relationship before knows about, you know, sort of the good times and the bad times, and like whether if like previously the good times have outweighed what the bad times are like.
Yeah.
At the present,
definitely.
you know, so
Yeah.
it is a really heavy film, but man, it's such a good film. Like, and I think we talked about. Did we talk about actors that, like Jim Carrey, that
We did
Adam
actually
Sandler?
mention it when we talked about Punch
Yeah,
Drunk
we did.
Love.
Yeah, and I think it is one of Jim Carrey's best films.
I think it is his best performance
Yeah.
in a film.
Yeah.
For sure.
Chemistry between him and
Kate Winslet.
as well is
Yeah.
phenomenal
And
as
she's
well.
great in the film.
Yeah, and I think just like what it has to say about, like, you know, I think towards the end of the film you realize that both of them have dated multiple times and then had their memories erased multiple
Yeah.
times. But there's something about like a specific day of the week and a specific location and a specific train ride or whatever that keeps them coming back. Like,
well,
there's
then they're
something
like
about
connection between them again. That like sense that, you know,
and like very, very hopeful ending, I think, as well.
Yeah.
Like, even though she's like, I remember Kate Winslet's character goes, you know, well, if we've broken up a bunch of times and I've had to erase my memory, like, I don't want to go through all that again.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, let's do it. Like,
exactly.
Let's give it another crack, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you only go off what you're feeling in that moment. And I think that it's a fairly uplifting.
Yeah.
And I think it does have a lot to say about, you know, how important those negative moments are in your life to shape who you are and who you become.
Yeah.
So,
Nice.
Great movie.
Yeah.
All right. My number 2 then is The Fifth Element.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yep.
You seen it?
Yep.
You've seen it, yeah.
Yes.
I think we disagree on this
I don't
one.
like it, no.
Yeah, I wasn't a massive fan of it either.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is a film I watched. I'm trying to think. I was a kid when I actually first saw this film. I think it was because I loved Star Wars a lot as a kid, and like I remember going to Video Easy that was close to us, and I'd go through the sci-fi genre looking for something similar, and I remember seeing this film, and I remember watching it and just kind of falling in love with it, and have loved it ever since. Basically, like, just it's such a unique film in terms of its like design, in terms of like production, it's like music, everything about it, like its soundtrack, I should say.
Yeah.
And like I think it's just a really fun film, and like that's what I love about it. I can just like, again, going back to that kind of Avatar, that escapism that I just love being able to be immersed in this world. And it's such a wacky ride that just like it's good from beginning to end for me. Like I just love watching it, you know.
My memory on it is fairly vague, to be honest, but I just remember like there are elements that really just pissed me off when I watched it. I don't know. I feel like, oh God, who just plays the villain? It's
Gary Oldman.
Gary Oldman. Yeah.
I see you didn't even like Gary Oldman in the film.
No, I like him. I like the performance he was giving, but I just feel like it was really campy.
Yeah, but that's what I love about the film is like because it fully embraces that.
And then like Chris Tucker is that like weird.
Can I put this into perspective? The film was written by Luc Besson when he was like a teenager. So you're getting a film that's from like he created an entire language for the film when he was that age. Like,
yeah,
that's the kind of mind you're getting when going to the film. So, that's the thing. Like, I don't expect much from it, and that's what I love about it, is the fact that it is like that campy, and it just goes full in on that wackiness and that campiness.
Yeah.
And I think it really works because, like, Gary Oldman just, like, he goes, for it. And, like, everyone in the film goes for it. Like, Chris Tucker as well. I know it's another character you don't like.
I couldn't get on board with it. I don't know. Yeah. Really struggled with
That's
it.
fair enough.
Yeah.
I think, Luc Besson is definitely a unique director. And I don't know if, like, you've ever seen any of his other stuff, but I really like his work.
Yeah. And I think, like, I remember watching a YouTube video. It was a video essay called Born Sexy Yesterday. I don't know if you've heard it. It's literally like, it was about the Fifth Element. It's around the idea that Mila Jovovich's character is born into this, like, beautiful sexual body, but intellectually she's kind of, like, brand new to the world. And so you're essentially, like, sexualizing, like, a child who's learning to function in society.
You're just trying to run the film for me, Nick.
Character is just like, well, she's pretty hot, so even though she doesn't know what she's doing and she's like semi-retarded on screen, I'm gonna tap that. Which I like. I think that there's a valid criticism there. I'm allowed to say that.
I agree.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
As I said, you're just, like, ruining a film I absolutely love now, Nick.
I'm just saying that this is like,
what are you doing to me? Jesus.
There are very specific reasons why I don't like it, but
that's fine. But
yeah.
I just remember
it's not for
I
everybody.
watched it when I was in my early teenage years, and I just didn't think of anything of
Yeah.
it, to be honest. So
fair enough.
And I haven't watched it since. I've only ever seen it once, and I honestly can't really remember much of the film.
Fair enough.
So,
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Next one, Nick.
Well, the next one's my number one film, like my favorite sci-fi film
Right.
Let's
of
hear
all
it.
time, and like literally
That's
the most cliched one, but it's 2001: A Space Odyssey by Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah.
That movie is an absolute fucking masterpiece. Like, holy shit. Not only is the camera work phenomenal, like, I've never watched a movie before and been like, how has he been so precise? Like, everything is just so meticulous, calculated, and
I haven't
precise.
seen it.
You got to watch it. Just watch it as soon as you can. Like, it's not really... the story is barely connected. Like, there's a bunch of different chapters. They all tell little elements of a single big story, but the big story is so overarching that it doesn't even really matter.
Okay.
What matters is kind of like the intricacies of that film. And it's so, like, just observational of what sci-fi, like, of what the future holds for us, I guess. Exploration, living in orbit, how what we did prehistorically kind of has led to where we're at now, what space travel will look like, what AI will look like. Is there a greater being out there, or is there other life out there? And Stanley Kubrick takes a look at them without answering any questions. He's like, mate, I don't have the answers, just fucking figure it out yourself. But, like, that's a good thing, I think.
Yeah.
But I think that when you combine it with exceptional practical effects, like, it was made in the 60s and it looks better than some movies that came out 5 years ago. I don't even know how he did it, but, like, the shots in space, actually everything, there's not a bad looking scene in that film for a movie that came out that long ago. The soundtrack, which is all kind of like classical, like the greatest symphonic songwriting that has been made in the last, like, 100 years. And Stanley Kubrick's very, very meticulous way he shot the film is exceptional. Like, really, like, long takes. There's no, like, he's got all his cameras are, like, set up or running on very specific, like, railing systems.
Yeah.
So you get these, like, super, super stagnant, really, like, clean shots that just, like, you know how, like, modern day, like, action, for example, has, like, a shaky cam, so it, like, hides a little bit. Stanley Kubrick just sets a camera up and he's like, no, you're gonna, like, live in this moment for, like, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And it's so refreshing to see, but it's, like, noticeable because I'm not used to seeing it. It's such an old film.
Yeah.
That when like, you know, like 2 minutes has passed and the camera hasn't cut away, I'm like, well, fuck, okay.
Yeah.
Like, just like existing in a moment is a really big thing in this film. And
Okay.
I absolutely love it. Like, hands down favorite sci-fi film ever.
Yeah.
So,
There you go.
yeah.
I think we really are getting kind of less and less truly great directors like that now.
People who you consider a visionary.
Yeah. But like, because obviously like some of our modern day ones are like Denis Villeneuve and even like Chris Nolan.
Yeah.
They're like some of our ones, but like I think they're just very few and far between otherwise.
I think that it's reflective of studios not willing to take as many risks
yeah.
anymore.
That's true.
I think that they're out there, creatives are out there.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
A lot of them are in the indie realm at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. You haven't seen 2001 either, have you, Jordan?
I have seen majority of it. I think it was the beginning of it I missed because I remember watching it on television, but like I just don't remember. It was a long time ago since I've seen it, and I remember bits and pieces about it. But yeah, it's just been a long time.
Fair enough.
Since seeing the rest, but I do need to rewatch it.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, I'll get around to watching it.
Yeah, it's all good. I've got so much shit that I need to watch. So
Yeah.
You gotta.
No, I think we'll just go to your last one.
Okay,
yeah?
Sure. You didn't want to mention anything else?
No,
Okay.
I've pretty much talked about everything I want to. So
easy done. All right, my number one is Interstellar.
Yep.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I was thinking about putting Interstellar, but I thought someone would at least have Interstellar on
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, from the moment, because I saw this in cinemas as well, and just from the moment I watched it, I absolutely fell in love with it as well. Like, just, it's an epic kind of space film. I just love the way Nolan shoots the movie.
Yeah.
Love the kind of main relationship in the film, between kind of Cooper and his daughter.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's because I think out of all of Nolan's films, to me, this is his kind of most kind of emotionally resonant and powerful, personally.
Yep.
And just as like, in terms of its look at the future, it's like another one of those kind of semi-realistic kind of ideas of where our future could lead us to in terms of like the Earth dying, basically.
Yeah.
And I just love the way that the story plays out between Earth's time and reality versus space.
I think it is a very interesting concept.
Yeah.
Obviously one that's quite hard to probably put together in a 2.5 hour movie.
Yeah, and I know that's a lot of what people had a problem with Interstellar, was that it was like its ideas were there, but it's like it's too much to almost
but that's what
put in and resolve in a sense.
I feel like that's what multiple viewings are for. Like, you know, like something that maybe isn't understood particularly well when you're sitting in a cinema and the reviews are coming out and people are criticizing it. But now that it's been out for a while,
I think it's still quite a divisive film amongst people there are people who, like myself, love it, but there are other people who think it's just a very, like, big ideas, but not particularly well executed film.
Yeah, there are a lot of big ideas, but I feel like focusing on the smaller stuff is probably better because that's the stuff that we relate to as an audience.
Yeah.
It's fine not having the big ideas. Like, you don't need to answer all the questions in your movie. So, yeah.
Yeah. And that's, and even just in terms of going back to like how Nolan shoots his films, and there are some incredible shots in here.
Yeah.
And like when you couple with, we were talking about Hans Zimmer before, who Nolan works with all the time. His score for Interstellar is one of my personal favorites.
Yeah.
It's like, there is a scene, I don't know if you guys remember, but it's like towards the end when like their space station, like something happens and it ends up like falling into kind of the planet's orbit, and they have to like speed up to it, try to spin at the same time,
and then dock.
Yeah. When you've got that, like the visuals of that, and like paired with Hans Zimmer's score, you are literally tensed up.
Yeah.
It's like phenomenal filmmaking. Just moments like that, it's just, I love the movie.
Yeah.
Like, that's things about it, like just,
I like the movie. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not in the camp that is like, big ideas, but little in the way of execution. Like, Matthew McConaughey
knocks out of the park.
Is an exceptional actor. Like, you can't argue otherwise.
But even the little girl in it, I think Mackenzie Foy is her name, who plays
Murphy.
Murphy, yeah. bloody fantastic performance as well from her. Like, really powerful.
Yeah. I remember when I saw it, I liked a lot how there was a lot of sort of space elements that haven't been that hasn't been really explored in other movies before, explored in this one. It's mainly gravity.
Yeah.
And how gravity affects different planets and stuff like that. So, I remember the whole, like them being on the planet for 10 minutes equals like 7 years on Earth or something like that. So,
and they come back and that guy's like who stayed behind is like on the station. He's like aged and he's got like grain.
The scariest thing I remember about that is after seeing the film and reading about that is real. Like that gravity works that way on certain planets. You know,
not to that effect, but
not to that extreme effect, but
I think that's the liberties you can take as a filmmaker is like I feel like, you know, criticizing a movie for not being realistic in that regard. I'm like, man, you're filming like in space. It's meant to be a little bit kind of abstract and fictional. So
exactly. I think that actually is a good way to use is because I remember seeing for the first time, it actually was almost like frightening and scary. That idea, like, you know, because at the end of the film, Cooper comes back and he sees his daughter again. And that moment is so powerful because he's obviously the same age and she's an old woman about to die. I mean, that's just like when you're watching that, it's, you know, it's such an interesting thing to like.
And I think for him, it was his entire journey was only like a couple of years, a year, I think it was, or something like that. It was
her like entire life.
Her entire life,
But it's a great movie to me.
Also, I will have to mention one thing about Interstellar was like the robots, the design of the robots. Man, that was so cool. Like whoever designed those robots, so unique, like never seen before. I love them robots, Tars. Man. Yeah, Tars, that's right. Yeah. No, really cool.
All right.
Really cool.
I think that wraps up all our lists.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, nice. Did you guys want me to quickly give my other, just like next, some of my honorable mentions?
Give one honorable mention if you want.
Honorable mention, yeah.
All right. One that I really toyed with wanting to put in the list was Looper.
Oh, okay.
I really wanted to put, like, I took it in and out all the time.
I think now you mentioned Christopher Nolan's Interstellar as well, like looking at The Prestige as a sci-fi film.
Yeah.
I feel like maybe a little bit more of a moral quandary that's presented to the audience through that, but maybe not so inherently sci-fi. Yeah. But I just like thought about that when you were talking about Christopher Nolan.
Yeah.
The whole like Tesla.
I did see it on some sci-fi lists, and I couldn't quite consider it enough sci-fi for me to warrant putting it on.
It's still in that like soft sci-fi range.
Yeah, for sure.
So next week we're going to be looking at Ad Astra. Is that right?
Yeah.
The new Brad Pitt film. So
Brad Pitt's knocking it out of the park this year. He's
doing well. He's come back with a vengeance. So
I'm really curious to see what the film's like because I don't really know much about it. I mean,
No, neither do I. I seen the trailer once. So.
It does look like a pretty expansive space opera kind of thing in a sense. So
very keen.
So watch out for our review for that next week sometime.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching, guys. We appreciate it.
Feel free to like and subscribe if you want.
Let us know your favorite sci-fi films as well, and what you think about our favorite.
You think, should have chucked on the list.
Yeah,
exactly.
All right. Well, see you next time, guys. Thanks very much.